Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review is brought to you in part by Rogers Hobby Center in Saginaw, Michigan, where the fun begins. This review covers the Fire Chief car. It's a 125 scale kit from AMT number 1162. Now, the kit was originally released back in '71, and it's had several updates and variations, including this version, which was released in 2020 with new parts. Now, it's been a while since we've seen this version, and it's come back with some exciting accessories, and even better because it's got newly tooled and more accurate stock Chevy wheels and hubcaps. Now, you can either build an authentic Fire Chief's car that's got a nice flasher bar and a siren, CB radio, and a spotlight on it, along with the great-looking fire department graphics. Or you can build a number of other versions in this kit. Now, we've got a skill level 2 on this kit, which is an average build, but it comes with a whopping 150 plus parts, which gives you a lot of options. It's molded in red, clear, and chrome with some black vinyl tires. And there's, as I mentioned, options to make the Fire Chief's car or police version. And you can also build it as a '70 stock Chevy or a custom Impala. Now, we'll be building a weathered and battle-tested Fire Chief's car. And when you're done, it'll be about 8.5 inches long, 3¼ inches wide, and 3¼ inches high. Oh, that's my program manager on the line now. Hi, Newt. Are you ready to roll?
Why do fire chiefs have a car anyways? Why don't they just ride along on the fire truck?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. In bigger cities, sometimes fire chief needed to visit different fires to manage the response. And quite often, the fire chief needs to attend other things like, the county budget meeting and such. It would be quite alarming if he pulled up in a 30-foot bumper.
I've never seen a fire chief's car that wasn't red. Did they really come in that color?
Yeah, some fire departments use brighter colors as experiments, like this bright green-yellow, so they could be seen more easily in the dark. It's the same thinking that replaced red emergency flashers with blue ones. Here are the options for the kit and the parts. It even comes with 4 different chrome trees. There's all kinds of ways you can make this as a stock car, you could even make it as a race car. It's got some fuel injector stacks up in the top there, but you'd have to open up the hood for that, make a hole for them to come through. Nonetheless, you could build it as a stock car and with the different markings, a police car or a fire chief's car. It comes with a lot of pieces, but they're all pretty easy to build, and you just don't use the ones for the versions you don't want to build. So it ends up being a fairly easy build to make. Now, make sure that you use the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines for any of the products that you see or hear in the review. And look at these decals. You get markings for both fire and police. Also, you get some custom graphics for a customized version, even some racing stripes there. So they're in pretty good register, and they're pretty colorful for what you're going to do. And so the decals may need, however, if you use some of the long ones there, some setting solution to get them to conform to the body. I started with the body, and I like to tape the hoods into place to get good color tone, intonation, and reduce variations. So go ahead, and you can see it here in the first light coats of primer. And then we began with some color coats of Krylon Citrus Green. And after that, I masked off the lower half and painted the roof white. And then next, I placed the decals into position for the Fire Chief's car. Now, for some fun, after the decals were dry, I sanded the car off in random spots to show some fades in the paint and the decals. And the whole car got a whitewash of 50-50 acrylic paint and water. And then I let it to dry, and then I just wiped off some areas clean and others let dry completely. Now, the other areas where the fading is heavier got another coat of the wash. And at this point, since the car was from Michigan, I decided to go with winter use, but not completely rotted. So I got some chalk paint And this stuff is really good to make salt and snow, as we've learned up here. And you'd probably just normally build it up in a winter drive if you saw some on the fenders, etc. So, as for the wheel wells, they just got some heavily dabbed on lumpy texture brown red paint. And after this, I went to the instructions and started to build the engine. Grab these parts from the kit and assemble the engine halves, the heads, the oil pan, the front, and the front end with the pulleys, etc. And then we're going to paint the engine a Chevy engine red, and then of course the fans and etc. are a medium black with a flat black belt. The exhausts are steel, and the transmission there is steel as well. Next we'll be detailing the undercarriage. There's no magic here. Everything fits pretty well. Just make sure you test fit. Also, if you've got a painted surface, you've got to scrape it off before you glue it to make sure it sticks. Now, all of these parts got painted flat black, and then I went back and misted some silver on the dry shaft springs and exhaust parts. And this gives it some like natural shadows later. So add the front cross member spindles and springs to the chassis, and now glue the motor into place on its mounts. Add the transmission and the cross member and the exhaust pipes. Now at the rear end, you'll have to slip the drive shaft under the exhaust, and the rear shocks and springs there are added. And then finally, add the remaining exhaust parts. Now if you're building a different version, you can use the lowered front spindles for that. Now obviously, I couldn't let the chassis go unweathered, so using the same chalk paint, I kind of brushed some snow into it where it would build up, and then I dry brushed white on all the edges. Finally, I used some black, brown, green, orange washes to simulate rust, dirt, and oil leaks, and even antifreeze. I also added some of this to the top of the motor and the inner wheel houses. And now grab the parts for the wheel assemblies and the radiator there. And we're going to put the wheels together, but they're pretty simple. You've got some inner wheel rings, and you've also got the wheels that are inserted on both sides of a tire. Press them together. Make sure you scrape off any plating there for any place where you want to glue it into position. And then they look like this, and they're really nice. Those are nice stock Chevy wheels. They did a good job to retool these. So then glue those all together and press fit them to the suspension components. And I didn't weather those, as normally the wheel covers are cleaned up quite often, and so the radiator is glued to the chassis, and it's of course painted the medium black, and there's a positive stop that locates the piece. Then the battery gets glued to the radiator support, and the hose to the engine and the radiator. Gather up these pieces to work on the interior, including the window glass. And as you may recall, the seats and interiors on these cars were just made for durability. They were just black vinyl, so it's pretty much a monotone. But we'll be putting the interior together. So first paint the firewall body color, and then paint the extinguisher red and the centers of the radio and the speaker black. And the rest of the interior is just a medium black, almost a gloss. Now the dash got a little light sanding after it was painted to reveal some of the areas and make it look a little more weathered, and some white dry brushing to those areas. Make it look like it's just a well-used unit. The seats got the same treatment, and then go ahead and glue the extinguisher to the front seat area, and the steering wheel and the CB to the dash. Now glue the seats pieces together and add those into the interior tub now. The rear view mirror goes to the top of the glass there in the center of the windshield with some white glue, and then glue the glass to the body with the same adhesive. And now add the interior tub to the body. Look for contact points with the big large locating pins there in the rear, and then make sure it stays snug. And lastly, add the firewall to the body in the front of the interior. Okay, now get out the pieces for the exterior, the body exterior parts, and we're going to prep these. And first we'll build the light assembly, so make sure you scrape any chrome from any mating surfaces to glue. And then glue the cherry light bases to the light bar. And use your white glue to add the lenses. Next, add the flasher bases to the bar, and then the lenses to the front and back of each one. Now glue the two halves of the loudspeaker together and add that to the bar. Finally, then add the legs to the light bar. Now there's really no location points for the bar, so here's a little tip. I used a piece of tape, and then I eyeballed that to be, absolutely split the front end there where I wanted to locate the light bar, so that I could push it right up to that and it would be all even. You just have to make sure that it's in the right position. So just eye it up before you put it down. And I used some some super glue and then a little bit of accelerator to make sure it stayed right there. Now add a small amount there and put the feet down as well as the CB antenna and place them into position. Now the spotlight and the side mirror also don't have any location holes, so I used a pin vise, added some holes for each, and then a little stem of plastic and glued them into place. Now glue the front bumper and add the taillights to the rear bumper and place that into position now. That front bumper got a little black wash in the recesses to kind of black those out. Lastly, you can add the roll pan to the rear bumper using the small tab on the back of the bumper to locate the piece. Well, the thing is complete, but the chrome is a little flashy for this beat up old fire chief's car, so I went around to put a little rust where some of the chrome was and add a little more weathering to it so it's not so pretty. And I used the same washes and techniques and added some of the surface rust to the chrome. Also, the mirror was put in at an angle to represent, that maybe it got bent out of position because, well, back in the 70s, it was not always uncommon to see an old beat-up municipal car like this. A lot of departments didn't have the $7,000 to buy a brand new Chevy Impala. So we continued with a little weathering to keep it look really nice. And, with the components that go through sheet metal, I made sure to focus on those spots where we would add a little rust spots, and then after that a little diluted rust wash and dabbed it around those bases so that it kind of streaked and looked like it had weathered. Here are the pieces that I had left over, and there's a lot of them, and also some of the decals that I didn't use for the different versions. Well, there you have it. Your model's complete, and of course the most time-consuming part of this kit was the weathering. And I toyed with the idea of making the lowrider version, opening up the hood maybe for the racing version and the custom grills, etc. But then I decided to try my hand at a little weathering, and I'm glad I did. It came out pretty nice, looking like something that we see up here in the northern climes, all rusted and snow covered and bent up after a few years of hard work. But that's up to you. This kit is just packed with all kinds of optional builds. So if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you like this premium step-by-step scale model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the icon in the lower right of any of our reviews. But you can find us on Facebook and our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.